In my opinion, at this point in time, I would actually think Josh Taylor is pound for pound the best fighter from the UK at this point in time. In terms of pound for pound, I have to put him literally as number one in the UK. In the UK, you do have great fighters. For such a small island, we've produced loads of great fighters. Like, for example, obviously, like the Anthony Joshuas, the Tyson Furies. Obviously, we've had other great fighters in the past, like Amir Khan, Ricky Hatton, Joe Calzaghe, Lennox Lewis. All of these great fighters that have come from the UK. But I think at this moment in time, I think it's fair to say that I actually think that he is probably one of the best pound for pound fighters at this moment in time. If you just look at his resume, the fighters that he's fought and he's beaten, I mean, just take into account, obviously he first came into prominence when he fought Hara Davis after 10 fights. Hara Davis was undefeated and he knocked him out in 7 rounds. Then he beat Miguel Vasquez, which was a very good win. Then he beat Victor Postel, and Victor Postel at that time was coming off a win over, I think he was coming off a loss against Terence Crawford, but he also had a win over Lucas Matisse, and Lucas Matisse was an absolute animal. The only person he's actually lost to was Terence Crawford, who's top 3 pound for pound at this point in time. So that's the only fighter in his last several fights that's had a loss on his record. Then he's got a win over Ryan Martin, who I think he was undefeated. Ivan, who's undefeated. Riguez Prograis, who's a very underrated fighter, who at that time had 2 belts and was undefeated. Then he fought a fighter from, I think he was from the Philippines. He was just a fighter that wasn't seen as anything special. Then he fought Jose Ramirez, who I think had a belt, and now he's going to fight Jack Catterall, and he's managed to beat all of these fighters. And his last 5-6 fights, I mean, you can see the record on the screen right there. I mean, I think it's like 136 wins and only 1 loss, and that 1 loss was Victor Postel's loss against Terence Crawford. So I think if you take everything into account, I think it's easy to see like why I would actually put Josh Taylor as the number 1 pound for pound fighter from the UK at this point in time. Just in case, in terms of everything he's accomplished up to this point, I mean, it's incredible what he's done with his career, and he's only had like 16 fights. So in my opinion, I think it's fair to see like why I would put him on this pedestal. I don't usually put fighters on pedestals. Me personally, I just think pound for pound lists in general are kind of they're a bit too pie in the sky and abstract at times, because how can you compare a fighter that's a heavyweight to a fighter that's a lightweight? It is a bit pie in the sky, but generally speaking, I think it's good to have pound for pound lists because it puts into context who's the best fighter in the world regardless of weight, in terms of just pure accomplishments and in terms of resume. And I think in the UK, I think you got to make a strong case that Josh Taylor's probably number 1, regardless of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua talking about the undisputed fight. The fact is Josh Taylor actually became undisputed, regardless of what you think about him as a person. You might not like him, like the way he carries himself, but you can't deny what he's accomplished in only 16 fights. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I actually, for my money, would actually put him above Inoue. Like, a lot of people have Inoue very high on their pound for pound list, and rightly so. He's accomplished a lot, but to some extent, if somebody argued that Josh Taylor's actually accomplished more than Inoue, like in terms of just his pure resume and obviously becoming undisputed, that's something that Inoue's not done yet. He's unified 2 weight titles, but he's never become undisputed, and he has won world titles in 3 different weight classes. But in terms of everything, I think it's fair to say that Josh Taylor, I think, is one of the best fighters in the world today, and I think he's probably accomplished the most in terms of boxing, in terms of this particular era of boxing. I'd put him as number 1 pound for pound. On my money, I'd actually from the UK, he's probably number 1 pound for pound. In terms of globally, I think you can make a strong case that he's top 5, at least top 5. And when I say top 5, I don't mean like he's 3 or 4 or 2. I don't think he's that high, but I think he's from top 10 to top 5. So in between 5 and 10, I'd put him pound for pound. I think you can make an argument for that. So yeah, that's just my opinion on Josh Taylor. What do you think about him? In only 16 fights, he's fought this level of opposition. He's undisputed. He's beaten like 5-6 undefeated fighters, and he's looked very impressive and dominant while doing it. and obviously he became undisputed as well. So taking all of that into account, would you put Josh Taylor as the best fighter from the UK right now, pound for pound? I think he's got a very strong argument for being that. I mean, who else is there on the list that you can put? I can't think of anyone else. Obviously you got the Tyson Furies, the Anthony Joshuas of the world and all of that, but I think I'll still put Josh Taylor above them. And I'm just talking purely from a boxing perspective, who I'd actually have above them. I think Josh Taylor is probably the man at this point in time. So yeah, that's my opinion on this particular fight, on this particular fighter, should I say. And tell me what you think below. Where would you put Josh Taylor globally, pound for pound? And where would you put him in terms of the UK as a whole? Would you say he's the best fighter from the UK, pound for pound? Or do you have another fighter that's above him, like a Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua or someone like that? Tell me below, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.